So, as dumb as this is, I wanted to kind of get on record here. This is a 2014 Ram 1500. And hold on, let me grab this flashlight. Just wanted to go over a couple of the common issues that I've had, and in dealing with this truck. Just put a new cam in it, stock cam. Had a couple issues that have popped up since you know, I put it back together. Took it apart last weekend, put it together this weekend, and I started it and was getting a fuel control light, basically a throttle position sensor. Really strange sequence of events. You'd think with a cam, when you're timing a cam and crank, that, you know, any no start issue is going to be based on that cam timing. I wasn't getting any backfires, wasn't getting any of the typical, you know, timing issues when it relates to engine timing, not ignition timing. But what it ended up being in this instance was I pulled the valve covers off, cycled the engine, and I was not getting action on two exhaust valves. And again, as dumb as this is, everything was good to go on the far side. I ran compression on my basically passenger side of the engine, which would be left when you're doing the maintenance. But on this driver's side, if you look at the exhaust valve, basically the push rod here has a there's a channel that it can go through. Let's see if I can get in there. There's a channel that it goes into the block, and you can see where it, right there, where it goes into the block. Well, somehow I had anchored that that push rod in the oil well, so it wasn't even on the roller, or it wasn't even on the lifter, so I wasn't going to get any action on it. So I pulled the fuel pump and cycled the engine. Was looking at number 1 and number 7 on this driver's side. No action on those valves. Pulled the valve train out and checked those push rods. Sure enough, I had 2 of them that were not in the push rod hole. So really stupid. It's a little harder to see on the driver's side, but I wanted to share this information just because I think it's valuable. Also on the throttle position sensor, when I had pulled it off the throttle body, this sensor right, or this cannon plug right here, when I had pulled it off, there's a rubber skirt inside, and I noticed it when I went to put it back on. Basically the plastic aligning slide that clips inside that cannon plug had fallen out. I clipped it back in and plugged it in, and it wasn't seating. You might be able to see inside this cannon plug at the bottom there, there's that brown little rubber boot. Well, when the guide, which would be this yellow piece here, this is for the AIT sensor on the intake, or on the breather. That little plastic slide had come out on the fuel control, or on the throttle position sensor. It's red inside there. I don't want to take it off just so I don't have to clip it back on. But inside you can see that little brown boot. That brown boot had fallen out and lodged itself inside the receptacle here at the throttle body. So as I was trying to clip the that throttle position sensor, when I was trying to drive it home, clip it home, it was pushing out, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I kept reseating that that slide, that guide, the red piece inside that little cannon plug. What I had to do was pull the rubber piece out of the receptacle and basically rebuild that little cannon plug. It took all of 5 minutes, but yeah, just a couple really strange issues that were you know, not allowing the vehicle to start. And typically what I would have done was tear the timing cover off, drain the oils, drain everything, and get to the bottom of everything. But I just went through a very simple, fundamental process of evaluation, and and it paid off. So I didn't have to break the seal on the head gasket and replace the head gaskets, which is probably would have been the next thing after the timing cover if I hadn't figured out what was going on. But again, rookie mistakes, just not taking my time, and cost me about a day's worth of work. Not quite, just troubleshooting everything, because it's not a typical troubleshooting deal. But getting those two things fixed, it is fine now, and I'm gonna fire it up here in a minute. But I thought it was really strange and just wanted to share that information. So.